Hello everyone, welcome to Lukman IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 24th March 2021. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles. We have enlisted them and segregated them according to relevance for mains examination and prelims examination. Let us take overview of these articles first. Corrective voice on editorial page. The article here is having the context that recently Supreme Court bench has given the guidelines in dealing with the kind of cases involving the criminal, or we can say sexual crimes against women here. So for that matter, it is asking the judges or other such a judiciary for not involving any kind of stereotypes towards women. Okay, so this is to some extent relevant to our examination syllabus. GS1 paper society, GS2 paper social justice and governance, GS4 paper ethics, gender equality, and essay paper also. Fine. Next, recalibrating India-Taiwan ties. So from GS2 paper international relations perspective, it is specifically talking about 25 years of India-Taiwan partnership or relationship that we are celebrating this year. So it is giving some insights into the developments that happen in the bilateral relationship and what are the potential areas and challenges involved in moving forward in this bilateral relationship. Okay, so international relations GS2 paper. Specifically for prelims related, no panchayat system in Assam tribal areas. So it is talking about the tribal areas of Assam, which is governed through 6th schedule of Indian constitution by we can say governor of the state. So what is this 6th schedule and what are its provisions? At the same time, the article mentions about 25th constitutional amendment bill and what are its provisions related to these 4 states, or we can say some of the areas, tribal areas in those 4 states in northeast states or area. So yes, we will talk about that here from polity perspective. Next, Indus Water Panel holds meeting. So here Indus Water Treaty and Indus Water Commission, from international relations perspective and geography perspective, we are going to understand Indus Water Treaty 1960. India abstains in UNHRC vote on Sri Lanka. Yes, we are having this follow-up continuously that whether India will vote in favor or abstains or against that human rights violation resolution on Sri Lanka. So India abstained finally from voting in that resolution. So what is again UNHRC, some basics about that, there will be some revision here. And lastly, as cases rise, government gives note to inoculate all over 45 from 1st April 2021. So yes, as a follow-up to COVID-19 vaccination, now the government has allowed those who are 45 and above to get vaccine. So let us go into details of all these articles. First, corrective voice. So Supreme Court has recently laid down guidelines for judiciary in dealing with cases of sexual crimes against women. So here the judiciary or Supreme Court has asked specifically to not provide or go for any compromise, or let's say refrain from imposing marriage. Generally what we have observed in so many years, that the lower judiciary, especially whenever there is sexual crime against women, the judiciary, though judges generally ask for compromise, out of court settlement, or ask that person to tie rakhi, the accused person to tie rakhi to the we can say victim here. At the same time, they also ask the culprit to marry the victim. Such kind of compromises are being done continuously, and this is to some extent hampers the dignity of women. This is derogatory to the dignity and respect to the women. So yes, now the Supreme Court has taken the progressive step to provide those guidelines. It has also listed some of the stereotypes to be avoided by the judges while dealing with such cases, what are these stereotypes that we have in our society, patriarchal nature of our society? For example, women are weak as compared to men. Men are the head of the household, and they should be taking all the decisions in the related to household matters, even in or outside the household matters. The other such stereotypes, for example, women should be obedient towards the men or other people in household. So these are the stereotypes that we see in the conservative patriarchal nature of our society, and the judiciary or Supreme Court has now asked the judiciary to refrain from such kind of stereotypes while dealing with sexual crimes against women in our society. Now if we do analysis, so we can use this analysis in essay paper, GS4 paper 1 or 2 paper. So here we can understand this is very progressive judgment. As we can see, the crimes against women, to some extent the victim is not given the justice here. Okay, so what happens is, the men in the society, the entrenched unequal power equations between men and women, to some extent including cultural and social norms, financial dependence and poverty, this is the gender inequality that we have in the society. At the same time, the so-called learned men in the society reiterate misogyny, besides carelessly linking sexual crimes to women being alone at night or wearing clothes of their choice. Now we can see the hashtag that was going on regarding the ripped jeans on the Twitter. So the kind of statement that is given by a chief minister of any let's say state, this is very derogatory statement or conservative. It shows the nature of our society. Such kind of, let's say, views are put forward whenever there is any crime against women. We have seen this in Nirbhaya case also. In that case also, many men had view that it was the mistake of that particular girl. Okay, so this is the view of let's say our learned men in the society, and this is to some extent not correct. We can understand this, and this is the progressive judgment of the Supreme Court to protect the women and their dignity in such cases. At the same time, to break the silence on bias against the women in our society, we all need to take responsibility. Especially the bigger role is on the shoulders of institutions and those who are having some important positions in the society. For example, politicians, leaders, or those like the famous actors or the civil servants. They should be the change agent in our society. They should promote such progressive liberal views. Then only there can be a large scale change that can be visible in our society in near future. Okay, so whenever there is essay regarding the women empowerment and all, yes, you can use this particular analysis here, and you can give the reference of this judgment also. Fine. So GS1 paper, 2 paper, 4 paper and essay paper. Try to take input here. Now moving on, recalibrating India-Taiwan ties. So we are celebrating 25 years of India-Taiwan relationship, bilateral relationship or partnership. And yes, what is the progress that have been done? What are the limitations and the challenges involved? What are the areas that we can further explore and take forward this partnership ahead? Okay, so yes, first and foremost we can talk about is economic partnership. Yes, then second we can talk about is social. When we talk about social, we should talk about the people to people contact. Okay, so economic partnership, social in people to people contact. So under these headings we can deal the partnership, bilateral relationship here. First and foremost is we can talk about the economic partnership. Yes, India is huge market that huge market provides Taiwan with investment opportunities. Taiwan's reputation as world's leader in semiconductor and electronics industry somehow complements India's let's say leadership in IT industry, right? Information technology enabled services. Now in 2018 we had signed the bilateral trade agreement. Now this is a landmark step in the economic relationship between these two countries, and it can be further taken forward by exploring these two here, or this kind of relationship. Next we can talk about the investment in the medicine and health sector. So both countries are already having some kind of cooperation in Ayurvedic medicine here, areas of traditional medicine, and it can be further taken forward in overall health industry now, field of healthcare. Moving on, the next area where the cooperation can be further explored is the air quality maintenance. So we can see the kind of air pollution in India because of stubble burning. So the bio-friendly technologies can be adopted from Taiwan for such air pollution control. They can be applied to convert agricultural waste into value added environmentally beneficial renewable energy or biochemicals. So the cooperation in terms of this technology transfer. And second aspect we can talk about is there is need to deepen people to people contact, and yes, tourism is one such avenue. Now tourism, especially we need to focus on the Buddhism pilgrimage, and it should be highlighted, made visible at international level. So you can see here, need to deepen the people to people contact. Cultural exchange is cornerstone of any civilizational exchange. This is good statement we can use here. Cultural exchange, and tourism is one such platform. Buddhist pilgrimage sites, the connectivity to these pilgrimage sites, there is need of better connectivity and visibility in addition to showcasing incredible India's diversity, right? And then only there will be more and more tourists from Taiwan to India. Fine. So this is how we have to explore these areas to further deepen the bilateral relationship between India and Taiwan. Now what are the challenges involved here? Challenges, Taiwan sees two important let's say obstacles. First is regarding regulatory regime, and second is labor regime. Okay, though we have seen that India has taken strides further in ease of doing index in recent times, last 5 to 6 years. However, what happens is the incidences like Wistron incident last year, Wistron plant in 2020, this create confusion and mistrust. Now this Wistron company is Taiwanese company producing Apple phones, iPhones and those electronic products. Now the kind of let's say violence happened in Wistron plant last year. The workers destructed all the property in the plant because of delayed payment of wages, salaries in that plant, contract workers, and for that matter it tarnishes the image of India as let's say developing country, and therefore it affects the further investment, foreign investment in the country. So this is also one aspect. So regulatory, labor regime and such instances which needed to be dealt very effectively, so that further there is no tarnishing of India's image at world level, especially when we talk about always the India being the favorite destination for foreign investment in the world. Okay, so yes, India Taiwan relations 25 years, international relations GS2 paper. Fine. Now prelims related articles. So this article here is talking about that no panchayat system in Assam tribal areas at present, and the government does not wish to implement, okay, at present. So basically it is having the context of 6th schedule here. Okay, so 6th schedule of Indian Constitution provides or protects tribal population and provides autonomy to communities through creation of autonomous development councils that can frame laws on land, public health, agriculture and other such subjects. Now there are at present 10 such councils established in 4 states of northeastern region of India. Which are these 4 states? Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. So 6th schedule, how to remember this? Earlier we had given the formula to remember this, these 4 states in 6th schedule. Yes, let me show you how to remember that. Yes, suppose this is the northeastern India. Okay, so here how to remember this? Yes, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. This is how you can remember those who are in this direction, lower states here on the southern side in northeastern. Right, here Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, then we have Manipur and then Mizoram. Okay, so the lower these 4 states are included in 6th schedule of Indian Constitution. Or we can say the tribal areas in these states are governed through the provisions of 6th schedule of Indian Constitution. Fine. Now, to further give autonomy to these states and some legislative and financial powers to governance of these tribal areas in these states or these 10 autonomous councils, 125th Amendment Bill 2019 is tabled in Rajya Sabha. Constitution 125th Amendment Bill. It provides for state election commissions to hold elections to autonomous councils, village and municipal councils, and 1/3 seats will be reserved for women. Okay, so at least 1/3 seats will be reserved. So this bill is not passed yet. Here you can see the statement in this article that the bill was introduced in the upper house so that the legislation remains active even as the house was adjourned sine die before 2019 elections, general elections. That means Lok Sabha was dissolved in 2019 and the new elections were conducted. However, this bill is not lapsed as it is introduced in Rajya Sabha. Now what is this? It is important for prelims examination. You can see here what bills lapse and what does not. Okay, after dissolution of Lok Sabha. This is very important for polity part prelims examination. Now there are 2 such situations where the bill is lapsing and 4 situations where bill does not lapse. What are these 2 situations? First thing, the bill pending in Lok Sabha lapses on the dissolution of Lok Sabha. Okay, whether originating in Lok Sabha or transmitted it by Rajya Sabha, it lapses. The bill pending in Lok Sabha lapses. This should be very clear. Second thing, a bill passed by Lok Sabha but pending in Rajya Sabha also lapses. Now this might be confusing here for you. So bill passed by Lok Sabha but pending in Rajya Sabha lapses. Now there is a fine difference between a bill passed by Lok Sabha and the bill pending in Rajya Sabha. Here further we will talk about that. Okay, so in these 2 cases the bill lapses. Other 4 cases, for example, a bill pending in Rajya Sabha but not passed by Lok Sabha does not lapse. Now this was this constitution bill, 125th Constitution Amendment Bill 2019. The bill pending in Rajya Sabha, it is pending and it is not passed by Lok Sabha, it is not lapsing. Clear? Other three such situation, a bill not passed by two houses due to disagreement, and if president has notified holding of joint sitting before the dissolution of Lok Sabha, it also does not lap. Okay. Next, a bill passed by both houses but pending assent of president does not lapse. And a bill passed by both houses but returned by the president for reconsideration of the house also does not lapse. So there are four situations wherein bill does not lapse on the dissolution of Lok Sabha, while there are two such situations where bill lapses on the dissolution of Lok Sabha. Okay, this is very important. Now, for practice purpose, we can attempt this question here. In which of the following case does the bill in parliament lapses on dissolution of Lok Sabha? Now, which are these situations? Earlier we talked about there are four such situations where bill, there are four such situations where bill does not lapse, and there are two such situations where bill lapses. Okay, so among these two, there should be one given here in this four statement. So you can see here, a bill pending in Rajya Sabha but not passed by Lok Sabha, it is not lapsing. Okay, so this is not. Then a bill passed by both houses but pending assent of the president, it does not lapse. A bill passed by both houses but returned by president for reconsideration of house, it does not lapse. And lastly, a bill passed by Lok Sabha but pending in Rajya Sabha, it lapses on dissolution of Lok Sabha. So the answer is D here. Okay, so the fine clarity is required in understanding these nitty-gritties involved in passing of certain bills and what happens when there is dissolution of Lok Sabha. Next, Indus Water Panel holds meeting. So here recently, after 2 years, last meeting was conducted in 2018. After such 2 years, now the meeting of the Indus Water Commission took place in New Delhi recently, and therefore it is in news. So what is important for us is Indus Water Treaty 1960. Yes, this particular treaty was signed in 1960 by Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and Pakistan's President General Ayub Khan at that time, and this was brokered by World Bank. This was brokered by World Bank, mediation that was done by World Bank. Now, according to this treaty, as we know that Indus has 5 important tributaries flowing from India to Pakistan. Which are these tributaries? Among these, let's say 5 tributaries, here we can understand that now total 6 rivers are there. Indus plus its 5 tributaries. So the waters of these 6 rivers is shared in this Indus Water Treaty. So western rivers and eastern rivers, they are classified like this, and western rivers and their waters are to be used by Pakistan. The governance of that water, that flow is to be done by Pakistan. Eastern rivers and their governance is under India now. Okay, now which are these rivers? Indus first, second Jhelum, and third Chenab. These are western rivers. These 3, their waters goes to Pakistan directly. India does not have power to build storage, or we can say store the water of these rivers by building large dams. Okay, or build any hydroelectric power plants for that matter. What are the eastern rivers? Here the remaining tributaries, 1 Ravi, second Beas, and third Satluj. These 3, the waters of these 3 rivers is used completely by India, and yes, there can be building of dams, harnessing it for hydroelectricity, for irrigation part. Yes, However, we can understand that Indus and Indus River passes through India. For that matter, the 20% of water for consumption purpose is allowed to be used by India under this treaty. Okay, so under this particular Indus Water Treaty, Indus Water Commission, Permanent Indus Water Commission is established, which meets every year, and the representatives from both countries are there in this commission, and it is for resolving the disputes arising out of sharing of these 6 rivers water. Okay, so this is how we have to understand, and it also provides for arbitration mechanism to solve disputes amicably. Now you need to know that India Pakistan bilateral relations, many times they are tenseful relations, they are strained relations. However, this is the only positive thing that we observe, that since 1960s there is no such conflict involved, or let's say large significant conflict involved in implementation of Indus Water Treaty. So this is the important positive aspect in bilateral relationship of India and Pakistan. Okay, so from men's perspective also you need to know Indus Water Treaty, always write it in positive aspect in bilateral relationship, and remaining information for prelims examination. Fine? Okay. So moving on, India abstains in UNHRC vote in on Sri Lanka. So yes, we are having the follow up on this issue, and now India abstained on voting here on 23rd March 2021, that happened on this particular resolution of promoting reconciliation, accountability and human rights in Sri Lanka. However, even though India abstained, the UNHRC adopted this resolution because 22 states out of 47 members they voted in its favor. Okay. However, there is one mechanism, inbuilt mechanism here, that without consent and acceptance of country concerned, it cannot be implemented. That particular resolution cannot be implemented. Okay, so again some basics. Let us take a revision of this UNHRC as international organizations for prelims perspective. This is the 47 member international intergovernmental organization, let's say a specialized agency, specialized body of United Nations, and this was established in 2006, and it replaced former United Nations Commission on Human Rights. Now the headquarter is in Geneva, and these members are elected by UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, for 3-year term. Okay, term 3 year, and the members are not allowed to continue or occupy a seat for more than 2 consecutive terms. Okay, now the significant aspect of this UNHRC is universal periodic review, that is done by UNHRC every year on the issues of human rights violations in its the countries all over the world. Okay, so universal periodic review is related to UNHRC. Fine. UN members, 193 UN members, human rights issues involved in these members. Okay. So again, practice prelims MCQ here. Consider the following statements regarding UNHRC. It made of 47 UN members elected by UNGA. This is correct. Each elected member serves for a term of 2 years. This is incorrect. Not for 2 years, rather 3 years. The term is 3 years. So it is incorrect. Countries are disallowed from occupying seat for more than 2 consecutive terms. This is also correct. So 1 and 3 should be the answer. This is how we can deal with these MCQs here. We can get confused in factual information. Yes, and lastly, as a follow-up to COVID-19 vaccination, as cases rise, government gives note to inoculate all over 45 from 1st April 2021. Now this is good development, and the cutoff date for this 45 plus category is for those persons born before 1st January 1977. Okay, and there will not be any need of comorbidity certificate now. Earlier, for those who above 45, they required comorbidity certificate. There will not be requirement of any comorbidity. Now this will be universal application criteria. Fine. Now this is again the positive development in COVID-19 vaccination in India. Moving on, some important captions and quotations. Yes, the cultural exchange is the cornerstone of any civilizational exchange. You can use this such kind of statements in international relations questions. Any country or bilateral relation, if it is asked, any country, there is need of people to people contact, people to people connect. Use such kind of statements when we talk about the tourism. Okay, now why people to people connect is required or cultural exchange is required? It not only helps one appreciate another culture, but also helps in overcoming prejudices and cultural misunderstanding also, because we get to know each other's culture better here and remove any prejudices present regarding those cultures. Next, there are entrenched unequal power equations between men and women, including cultural and social norms, financial dependence and poverty. So women related essay, women empowerment related essay, you can use such kind of gender equality that is present in our patriarchal nature of society. Fine. So try to take use of all these captions here that we have provided. ओके, सो दीज वेर इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल्स फ्रॉम टुडेज द हिंदू न्यूज़पेपर. अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आया हो तो इसको लाइक कीजिए, कमेंट करके हमें बताइए आपको कैसा लगा है वीडियो, और साथ ही आपके फ्रेंड्स के साथ में इसकी लिंक शेयर कर दीजिए और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए लुकमान IAS के चैनल को. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of men's related issues and articles is done by Ansari sir and team, you can contact Lukman IAS. Thank you.